members to the meeting of the panel on food safety and environmental hygiene. It's the appointed time. We have a quorum. I call to order the meeting of the panel. Let's invite representatives of the administration to come inside the conference room. Agenda item number 1 is information paper issued since the last meeting. The Secretary did not issue any information paper since the last meeting. The second agenda item is items for discussion at the next meeting. The Secretariat has issued the list of outstanding items for discussion. Members can refer to it. Please note this. The regular meeting of the panel in April, the administration originally proposed to discuss the 2 following items: new inspection procedures for investigating water seepage in private buildings and pest control and environmental hygiene improvement. The Secretariat just received a request from the administration requesting that the panel hold a joint meeting with the panel on development to discuss new inspection procedures for investigating water seepage in private buildings. So it will take some time for me to discuss with the panel on development on the date we should meet and the relevant arrangements. Afterwards, we will notify members as soon as possible because both panels were to discuss this item. So if we hold a joint meeting, we do not need to discuss this separately. If members have no objections, let's move on to the third agenda item. The third agenda item is facilitating the development of Hong Kong's food industry. I will first ask the Secretary to brief members on the paper, and when you're ready, please. Thank you. Secretary. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. We will brief members on the measures to promote the development of Hong Kong's food industry as announced in the 2026 to 2027 budget. We have seen the food exported to the mainland from 2024 to 2025 increase by approximately 70%. It really shows there is greater demand from the mainland market. We have made it easier for the products to go to the mainland, as well as put in place some advance release arrangements. We have signed 2 memoranda of understanding with the mainland to make it easier for Hong Kong manufactured food products that meet the relevant requirements to be imported to the mainland. And with sample testing, the food products can be released in advance without waiting for the testing results. At the first stage, it would cover 3 categories of food, beverage, and 2 other categories. The Chief Executive also announced in the 2025 policy address about having reserved land in the vicinity of Haoyuan Wide Boundary contributing for the development of a food industry. We are currently discussing this with the trade. At an appropriate timing, we will announce more details. As said in last month's budget, we will work harder in 3 areas to support the development of the food industry in Hong Kong. 1, we will continue to work with the GACC to have more categories of Hong Kong manufactured food products enter the mainland market. We have also expanded the scope of the advance release arrangements, expanding the number of categories to number 6 to cover tea leaves, seasoning, as well as noodles that do not have any meat ingredients. We will also waive the relevant certificate fees for 2 years. Thirdly, we will have a unified brand for local quality agriculture and fisheries products to instill confidence in consumers. Later on, we will give a detailed report to the panel in this area. In the National 15 5-year plan, we're looking to how we can really dovetail with the plan in the development of the food industry to really leverage on Hong Kong's advantage of being backed by the country and connected to the world. And we have in mind in principle of high quality development and to really develop in line with the national strategy of dual circulation. I will now ask my colleague to give a PowerPoint presentation. Thank you, Secretary. I will first talk about some background information, and then I'll talk about the measures set out in the budget and what work we are going to do specifically. We have quite a large-scale food industry in Hong Kong. We have over 1,300 companies generating total receipts of over 39.4 billion Hong Kong dollars. And if we count in terms of value added, it is the highest. It is over $10 billion. And with the figures of food exports, in 2024, we had $7.7 billion. In 2025, it has reached $9.24 billion. So as the Secretary said, we have a significant increase, and it demonstrates a significant increase in demand from the mainland market. Previously, members asked for some transshipment figures, and we can provide such here. In 2024 and 2025, they were approximately $50 billion. The mainland has a set of stringent figures for food imports. And according to the GACC, the enterprises manufacturing food must have recommendation of the authority at the place of export. And in Hong Kong, that would be the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department. And the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department would make sure all registration conditions are met before giving such recommendation. And then the GACC will think about whether to accept this application. As you can see in the PowerPoint presentation, that is the process. And we have talked about how we have some advanced release arrangements. We had the Secretary talk about how since 2024 we have received approval from the GACC for certain categories of food. The testing results are not required before the food is released because they have shorter shelf lives. This is really useful. As the Secretary said, it covered tea, bread, biscuits, and candies. And it has already reached value of $130 million, and the tonnage is over 6 million tons. So with the premises of the food industrial park, it will be part of the Northern Metropolis. We will have in mind the East in, as out, West in, West out strategy and move the functions of a Mancam toll moderate control point in relation to food to be at Hygiene wet boundary control point instead. It should reduce transportation costs, and the government has already proposed in the relevant development proposals to reserve land for food purposes, including for wholesale processing and trading. So that's the background information. Let's talk about some budget measures. In paragraph 135, it is specifically about how we will have more Hong Kong manufactured food enter the mainland market and have advance release. We will waive the relevant certificate fees for 2 years. We will also launch a unified brand for quality local agricultural and fisheries products. Last year, we signed 2 memoranda of understanding on inspection and quarantine and the exporting of dairy products. And once they can enter the mainland market, they will receive advance release. And since 2024, we have seen 3 categories of food being entitled to advance release. We have 3 new categories since we have tea and grounded seasoning as well as noodles that do not have meat ingredients. And with the system, one can see the HS code and CIQ code, and you can see the link here for more information. We will also announce more details in due course. As for the waiver on fees, there are 4 categories, 4 items in 2 categories. One is for the recommendation on food manufacturer registration. As we said earlier, we would have recommendation made in accordance with the requirements of the GACC, and the recommendation will be issued by the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department. While a recommendation is issued, if it belongs to the 3 or the 6 categories mentioned earlier, they may be entitled to an advance release permission. And we also have for exports food inspection certificate and health certificate, we will waive all of the fees for 2 years. The recommendation and advance release permission waivers took effect earlier in December of last year and January of this year. They will be maintained until 31st of March 2028, and for the certificates, they will commence on 1st of April, also lasting until 31st of March 2028. We will see if members have any comments on this later. So say, for example, you can see here for a batch of food of animal origin, one will be able to save $18,000. Apart from lowering the compliance costs, we also want to create a brand. As we said before in the Agriculture and Fisheries Development Blueprint, we want to do this to have the sector invest in this to enhance quality of local agriculture and fisheries products. In fact, food from Hong Kong is already a brand. The government will promote this brand continuously, and we will also ask the sector to take part in more exhibitions. We do have an advantage of being a food hub, and we will work with the GACC to really have more food benefit from the advance release arrangements. Apart from the level of GACC we have in different provinces and municipalities, food that may be popular, and we want to really expand the market. We have a phone number here. You may contact the relevant branch, or you may reach out to me. if you have any ideas on the national 15 5-year plan, how we can really dovetail with it. We do want to export more of our products to the vibrant mainland market so that we have more additional demand. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Secretary, members who would like to speak, please press the request to speak button. Everyone will have 4 minutes to speak. I'll read out the order. Yang Wen-kit, Jovi Chan, Christine Fong, Lemon Kwong, Chan Chen-yin, Hong Kam-in, Lee Kuan-yew, Stephen Ho, Elaine Chik, Jonathan Leung, Shu Ka-fai, Chen Pok-chi. Mr. Jonathan Leung. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to thank the administration, the secretary, and your team for your efforts on promoting a local brand. Many Hong Kong food is popular among the mainland market. Say, for example, some Hong Kong mooncake, Hong Kong cookies. There is great potential for local food market. However, when we want to export food into the mainland market, we had to go through procedures that last months and weeks. Very often, these delays will perish the food. With the advanced release arrangement, the customs clearance procedure has sped up, and the fees will be waived for 2 years. We have some questions. With the fee waivers, will the time taken for certification and customs clearance be longer? Do we have enough manpower to fit the applications for permits? There will be 6 food categories falling under the advanced release arrangement. I wonder what the ratio of export of these food categories is, and I wonder if the government will include more food categories under the ARA, Advanced Release Arrangement. Secretary. Thank you. I will ask Dr. Wong from the Center for Food Safety to elaborate. But first of all, we will definitely have enough manpower to process the inspection and certification. Now, in terms of resources, we will definitely fully support the development of the food industry. Dr. Wong, please. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Leung, for the question. Regarding manpower deployment, with the new arrangement, we have made some internal adjustment. We will strengthen adoption of technology. As the ARA has just been implemented, we don't see a great number of applications yet. If there is an increase in the number of applications, we will apply for additional manpower. Mr. Leung, what about the food ratio? Dr. Wong, please. As for the 3 categories under ARA, they don't recommend 3 types of food. There are 3 food categories. As far as we understand, these 3 categories of food account for half of the food exported from Hong Kong to the mainland. If we include the additional 3 categories under ARA, we believe that the percentage will be even larger. Mr. Yang Wen-kit. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm grateful for the team led by the Secretary for their contribution to the food industry development of Hong Kong. In the last term of the LegCo, the Secretary said time and again that we want to build a unified Hong Kong brand, and now we have this ARA implemented. This has allowed a greater access of local food to the mainland food market. However, I have a few suggestions for the Secretary. First, we need to step up promotion of a local brand. This brand of made in Hong Kong or Hong Kong food is popular, But still, I think that we need to step up promotion to make sure that people in the mainland know what the advantages of Hong Kong food is. Say, for example, we have stringent requirements on food safety. By this, more people on the mainland will be more willing to buy our products, and that will boost our trade volume and our productivity. That's my first suggestion. Second, as to our role as a super connector, helping mainland enterprises go global, the commissioner said just now that our re-export trade volume amount to some $500 million. But I think that we need to promote our local brand to other countries as well. If we do our advertisement or promotion well, then we can further boost our trade volume. Hong Kong is a food paradise. We import many food from many different countries. So will we be relaxing the customs clearance procedures for international food going from Hong Kong into the mainland? This will further promote our re-export trade. Thank you. Secretary, thank you for your suggestion. We are already implementing your ideas. Now, in terms of our brand, we are now developing a new unified brand for our agricultural fisheries products. We will adopt a certification, testing, and traceability mechanism. When our brand become reliable, then we will step up promotion so that more people know about our new unified brand. We will name this brand in such a way that as soon as people hear it, see it, they would know that it's from Hong Kong. The brand is not limited to local agricultural and fisheries products. As the next step, we will leverage on our certification mechanisms and cover more types of food products in Hong Kong. With a new Hong Kong brand, then we can bolster our position as an entry port. And with this, we can export international products from Hong Kong to the mainland. And the value of the products may be boosted after it's been certified by our mechanisms. When we have the new brand, we will come to the LegCo to brief members on it. Thank you. Next, Ms. Jovi Chan. Thank you, Madam Chair. I thank the administration for the paper on developing Hong Kong food industry. I've collected views from the Hong Kong Manufacturers Association. They support the relevant arrangements and they have no adverse comment. I joined a visit together with the LegCo president. I'm concerned about our role in the international food trade and the development of industry tourism. It is said in the paper that the government will reserve land near Heung Yun Wai boundary control point for food purposes. I think that apart from promoting food industry, we can promote industry tourism. The secretary said that we need to promote our brand. We see in other countries, they incorporate their food brand into their local tourism, and I think that we can allow tourists to join some food-related workshops. Can the administration elaborate? And I wonder if the EEB has been working with the CSTB. Say, for example, in Tsuen Wan and Kwai Tsing districts, we have food manufacturing factories that can be converted and transformed to offer tourism services. And I wonder if the administration have any support measures for these food manufacturing factories to transform. Thank you. Thank you. I will ask the Deputy Secretary to supplement. Just now you talked about the Heung-Yun Wai Industry Park. We agree with what Ms. Chan said. We may incorporate tourism elements into the park. The reason why we reserve land in Heung-Yun Wai is because we want to tie in with the East in, East out, West in, West out planning strategy. If we reserve land near the boundary control points, then we can promote our brand on the retail level. As you said, on the mainland and in other countries, they very often integrate tourism with their food industries or other types of industries. We'll look at the market development, and currently we're working on how we can integrate tourism and food in the new town in New Territories North. Madam Chair, I hope that apart from the one in Heung-Yun Wai, we can include food factories in other districts in your support scheme. Thank you. Next, Ms. Christine Fong. Thank you, Madam Chair. I thank the EEB for their efforts in building this Made in Hong Kong brand. I welcome and support the waiver. Exporters will be able to save some $18,000. On recommendation of food manufacturer registration, advance release arrangement, there is some breakthrough. Previously, local exporters could only rely on themselves. I think that the time saved under ARA on customs clearance is important. Many food factories are located within industrial buildings. The administration said that they will reserve land near Ma Chau Lung and Heung-Yun Wai for food-related uses. If small and medium factories want to upgrade and transform to tie in with the 15th five-year plan to achieve a dual circulation, boost productivity, and increase profit, what they can do, and what the administration's plan is to help them. The administration said that there are three food categories falling under ARA, namely beverages, pastries, and candies. Can the administration let us know what other food categories you will include under ARA? Now on food safety, I thank Dr. Wong for your effort in food safety. People on the mainland are really confident in our food, and I wonder what standards we comply with. Is it the standards from the WHO? Secretary. Deputy Secretary, please. Food industry is a part of our industry. The SAR government has many different plans to help our local industries to upgrade and transform. We have a new industrialization scheme under the ITIB, and we see food manufacturing industry benefiting from the scheme. Heung-Yun Wai is a part of the New Territories North New Town in the strategy. We are now collecting views from the public on the development of NT and New Town. The Development Bureau will consolidate the comments and views received from the public, and then we will look into how we can help local food industries. You asked about advanced release arrangement. Can you let us know what other food categories you will include in the future? Well, that has to do with our discussion with the JCC. It's difficult for us to give you any advanced information. We will perhaps prioritize food that is already being exported to the mainland. However, we will still have to talk to the JCC.
Anything to add, Dr. Wang? Yes. About standards for food to be imported into mainland, we have discussed this with the GACC. If food is to be imported into mainland, we have to comply with national standards, and the national standards are more or less similar to that of the codex, but there are some specific standards specific to the mainland. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lim and Kwong. Thank you, Chair. I support the administration in developing a food industry, and the food safety in Hong Kong is really praised by the world and is well known. For local agriculture and fishery products, we are to have a unified brand. I believe that will really help provide certification as well as having unified standards that can really consolidate our status as a food trading hub. But with a brand, it's not just about having a logo. It is also about having sales channels, having the support of the trades, enhancing the competitiveness of products, instead of just saying they're from Hong Kong, because otherwise it may destroy the brand instead. So I want to ask, with the brand, will we be targeting the high-end market? Are we targeting the ones who are health conscious? Or are we talking about the Hong Kong culture specifically? On promotional strategy, e-commerce is very prevalent. Will we help enterprises live stream? In fact, Hong Kong Post and is working with China Post to have a Douyin account, but I think they are not selling a lot of products. I think we really have to do more to enhance competitiveness of Hong Kong food products on these platforms, so as to really benefit SMEs. Well, for SMEs, they really need support from the government on creation of brand promotion and legal protection. How can we really help factories with this, and in turn they can help the government with promotion? Thank you. Secretary. Thank you, Chair. With the government promoting the brand, we do attach great importance to safety and quality. As for perhaps cultural significance, it would really rely on the sectors promoting that. The government's foci would be safety and quality. But the members' views are quite valid. We will discuss with the different business associations on this. We actually have collaboration in different areas. I would also like to take this time to respond to what Ms. Christine Fong asked earlier, how we can help SMEs. With SMEs, it's not just about helping them create a brand. We also want to help them upgrade and transform by making use of technology that should in turn improve productivity and competitiveness. And in fact, the INT Commission has a new industrialization subsidy scheme that will disperse funding to SMEs to help them upgrade and transform. And we have had beneficiaries in the food industry We will try to create a food from Hong Kong brand that attaches importance to safety and quality, and we will see how we can help small and medium-sized food industrial enterprises upgrade and transform. Thank you, Mr. Chen Zhenying. The food industry makes a significant contribution to the local economy. I have 3 questions. The budget said there will be a waiver on testing fees, and one can save $18,000. You should have a rough idea of the total cost of food manufacturers. How much does it cost to them with the testing fees? If it's just 0.5 or 0.5% of the total costs, we can perhaps provide a longer waiver. Can you give us a ballpark figure of what their costs are? I also saw in the PowerPoint presentation that you're encouraging enterprises to take part in expos, and I did observe some small and medium-sized enterprises taking part in some expos, and they can apply for some subsidies. Can we have food industrial enterprises some kind of subsidies to be provided to them to take part in food expos? And this is specific to this industry, so as to provide targeted support. We also are trying to help food products go global by being a super connector. What is our edge? Is it because we have regular meetings with other customs authorities? If this is not the edge that we have, can you tell us how we can achieve this great vision? What the Bureau will work on, Secretary? Right, the questions are on production and the ratio. I will ask Dr. Wong and the Deputy Secretary to provide the relevant information and answers to the questions. All right, Dr. Wong, please. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chen, for your questions. Let me explain the arrangements. As said in the budget speech, the exporting of products would involve different steps. We're waiving not the testing fees, actually. With manufacturing food, when they export such food, they need to comply with standards of the places they are to export the products to. We are waiving the certificate fees, but they still have to conduct tests. So this is what I have to clarify. As for how much they are saving in costs, it really depends on how big the batch is. If they have multiple batches, but each batch only has a small amount, they will be able to save much cost because they need a certificate for each batch. If a company exports their products in multiple batches, they can save a lot of costs. However, if they only have a small number of batches with large quantities of products, they will not be able to save much. Thank you, Deputy Secretary. For subsidies, the government has different subsidies for product promotion. In fact, the TRG has a subsidy that is available to food industrial enterprises to take part in expos and delegation visits, and the ceiling for subsidies for the accumulated amount is up to $1 million. We also want to make sure we are acting as a springboard for products to go global. We have some traditional advantages such as in marketing and brand packaging and promotion. We definitely want to leverage on these advantages, and we are actually working closely with Invest Hong Kong to see what support interested enterprises need. Thank you. Mr. Hong Kam In. Thank you, Chair. I would like to praise the Bureau. They have given a PowerPoint presentation which I haven't really seen at other panel meetings. It really shows they're attaching great importance to this. It really helps us understand clearly what they want to talk about. We need to make sure to have a commercial thinking about this. The government is not just wasting money, but is trying to make things profitable. I also would like to praise this. Food from Hong Kong is actually a quality brand. We have some mainland enterprises, especially food industrial enterprises, wanting to come to Hong Kong to set up factories. And a friend of mine is manufacturing cookies, and they have made their plant available for public visits. I think food industrial tourism is really doable. I want to ask what is going on with the food industrial park development. Do we have an overall development blueprint? If you have more information, can you share that with us? Second, I have visited the mainland and worked with provincial municipal authorities to see how we can really export agricultural products through Hong Kong. And for products that are reared, we do not have any planting certification standards for such products. And in paragraph 10, we talked about how in 2026 we will have a unified brand for government recognized local agriculture and fisheries products. Can this become a reference for mainland products as well for certification? Third, we need to really tell good stories of food from Hong Kong. Will the Bureau do more to promote this? Let me give an example. The Bureau has been working with Invest Hong Kong. Perhaps at investment promotion activities, we can serve local products to participants. And at some food expos, can we do more to promote local products? Thank you. Secretary. On promotion and telling the good stories of food from Hong Kong, I will ask the Deputy Secretary to answer the relevant questions. As for standards, I will ask the Assistant Director to answer the relevant question. On Hung Yuen Wai development, it is part of the development of the priority development area in the Northern Metropolis. We will not wait for the development timeline of the Northern Metropolis to materialize. We have already been working with enterprises to find sites that are suitable for their development. The development is of a large scale. For individual enterprises, as long as they can find suitable sites, they can already commence development. So we will not wait for the grand development to really materialize. but the Hygiene White facility will have to follow the timeline of the Northern Metropolis. I will now ask the Deputy Secretary to answer the question. Well, for the image, are not professionals, so we will ask professionals in marketing to create a brand for us. I will now ask the Assistant Director to answer the other questions.
Thank you. Regarding cultivation of aquatic products and growing of local agricultural products, we have a standard, we have a reputable farm system and quality farm systems that have been in place for some 20 years. We have also made reference to other food safety standards. We do test our local fisheries and agricultural products. As mentioned by the Secretary, in the middle of this year, we're going to roll out a new unified brand. So what does it mean? It means that we are going to endorse local agricultural and fisheries products and include them in a new unified brand. We will launch that in the middle of this year. As mentioned, we have been certifying food for some 20 years. For mainland manufacturing units, if they're interested in adopting our standards, and if our certification standards is recognized by the public, then maybe we can extend our systems to the mainland. And we are happy to work with mainland manufacturing units so that we can have our standards applied on the mainland. Thank you. Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, thank you. As mentioned, we want to have more quality local agricultural and fisheries brands so that we can increase our export value from $7.7 billion from 2024 to $9.4 billion in 2026 and even further in the future. I have a few questions. It is mentioned in the paper that the Center for Food Safety will unshelve unsatisfactory food. For food importers involved, will you step up checks on the food that they import? Will you check like the temperature of their containers? Second, online food purchasing have become more and more popular. I wonder if the Center for Food Safety will set up a dedicated sampling for online food. Thank you. Well, your second question is more relevant to the next agenda item. The Secretary can answer your first question. Well, that has to do with the next item. I will ask the Center for Food Safety to still answer the question. The microphone is off. In our sampling, if we find unsatisfactory food sample, when this particular importer import food the next time, we will detain the relevant food for 1 year to ensure food safety. Now, regarding online shopping of food, we attach a lot of importance to that as well. We have included food sampled from online platform. Say, for example, if I test vegetables, if I test tea leaves, we will procure items from physical stores, but also online shops at the retail, at the import level. We do collect samples from online channels. We discovered that the satisfactory rate of food purchased from physical stores and online shops is comparable. Next, Mr. Stephen Ho. Thank you. I thank the SAR government, the EEB, and the controller for their efforts. We have made great progress over the past decade. we should not just stay on the right path. We have to run to reach our goal because we used to lag behind a lot. Today we talk about manufacturing, productivity, rather production, industry, certification. It seems that we are focusing on trade and manufacturing, but R&D should be the goal of our food industry. If we don't have sufficient R&D capabilities, then we still have to purchase or import things. You said that you will turn Hyun Yunwai into a food industry park, but I wonder if we have sufficient manpower or policy support. Many enterprises want to know more about local policies before they establish presence in a particular place. I wonder if we have a dedicated office to promote local policies. We don't have one yet. You said that you announced the development proposals at the end of 2024, but we're in 2026. We don't have a framework yet. I hope that the government will be clearer on this point in the future. Second, we want to make our people healthy. That's the national development goal. I think that we need to certify functionally developed food. We cannot just rely on curry fish balls. We need new elements. We need new food from Hong Kong. As you mentioned in your presentation, we have waived some of their certification fees, and we will include an additional 3 food categories in the ARA. I think that there is room for us to improve our policies. But I think that the government is heading towards the right direction. Lastly, I'd like to talk about the new unified brand for local agricultural and fisheries products. I think the government's policy is rather outdated. For people selling false vegetables, they will be contravening the business descriptions or rather the trade description ordinance. But I think that the difficulties lies with enforcement from the CNED. When people sell frozen pig as fresh pork, that undermined our brand. I think that the government has to look into their manpower. Should we also deploy manpower from the EEB to take enforcement action? Secretary, thank you for your comments. As to our unified brand, we are going to adopt a traceability mechanisms, and after the mechanism is launched, the FEHD will be further empowered to take enforcement action. You talked about many problems. You talked about our R&D capabilities and how we should enhance it. I fully understand the challenge that we are facing, so we have close liaison with our mainland counterpart. We don't just talk to other departments within the SAR government. We have signed many cooperation agreements with mainland INT enterprises, and they will transfer the technology to Hong Kong. We are working with many local and mainland enterprises, as many mainland enterprises are good at innovation and technology. We hope that they will lead us in the right direction. Of course, we haven't forgotten our tertiary institutions. We leverage on professors that are expert in certain areas to see if we can collaborate. As for the development of Heung Yun Wai, as I said, we are not waiting for the industry park to be ready. We are identifying suitable enterprises, and we are actually already working on developing the park. Thank you. Next, Mr. Shiu Ka-fai. I fully support the administration's direction. We have the Center for Food Safety, we have the Consumer Council, so we have a clear advantage with our food. Our food is reputable, it is of quality, so I think that the current direction is the right one. We need to tie in with the 15th five-year plan, and we need to promote internal circulation. We need to export quality products to our country. Just now, in another panel, I talked about this. Each place has their own standards. Now we have a base standard. Can we promote our standards to other places? Well, that may not fall under this item, this agenda item, but I think that we need to help our country's products go global. We need to promote the national standards and have it applied to some other places. Apart from dairy products, tea leaves and the noodles will be included in the ARA. In the two sessions, well, I was part of it and I made a suggestion. I said that we need to create a whitelist of food that can be sold in e-commerce platforms on the mainland. And those food products should be free from customs duty. If Hong Kong food can be sold on mainland e-commerce platforms, then that will be beneficial to our economy. Many raw food materials have been imported from the mainland to Hong Kong. I believe that the Secretary also wants to develop new growth points for our economy, for our food industry. If we can have our food products sold on the mainland, then that will give the mainland consumers another option. Secretary, thank you. You made a very good point. Of course, the government will continue to work on our standards, on a policy, on our platforms, and we will work together with the sector to develop the market. And we will help them explore new markets as well. We will work with Mr. Xu, and we need to collaborate further with the trade. Thank you. Next, Mr. Chan Pok-chi. Thank you, Chairman. I wonder if the government will look into, under the regular communication mechanism, include quality, locally certified aquatic and agricultural products in the advanced release arrangement. And I wonder if the administration will relax the customs clearance procedures for fisheries and agricultural products to lower the deterioration rate. Thank you.
好多謝
Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Chan, for the questions. I will ask the Deputy Director to answer the relevant questions. Mr. Patrick Lai. Thank you. The country is a powerhouse in agricultural products, so the country has very stringent standards for inspection and quarantine. As a great agricultural country, if they have lax standards, it can really incur large losses should there be any issues. So as I said, they are very strict with their gatekeeping. The Bureau and the department have been working hard in the past years to help farmers and fishermen of Hong Kong send their products to the mainland. In fact, under the CEPA arrangements, we have exported and sold some quality products from Hong Kong to the mainland without any tariffs charged. And the EEB signed a new MOU with the GACC about exporting into the mainland some agriculture products. And under the MOU, it expanded the scope of products that can enter the mainland. It has also clarified many inspection and testing standards. It has really facilitated our development of the mainland market. With the aquaculture products, most of them are frozen. It does not include live fish at this moment. Right now, we want to go with high-end supermarkets and e-commerce suppliers because they would want frozen products, because they right now would sell the products to different cities in the country. So right now the model would just involve high-end supermarkets, and we do not deal with live fish at the moment. But of course, market circumstances are rapidly changing. We will keep in view of the situation. Should we consider there to be a need to enhance relevant arrangements, we will have further discussions with the GACC to see how we can enhance relevant arrangements. In the middle of this year, we'll launch a brand, and we will have regard to the quality and safety standards in the mainland. In future, we hope to enhance the clearance arrangements when we export food to the mainland. Thank you. Well, I'm the last to speak, I believe. I would like to thank the Bureau for fighting for the expansion of categories entitled to advanced release arrangements from 3 to 6. We have a big market, and we have a very good brand of food from Hong Kong. People, when they come to Hong Kong, they have to go to different shops for candies, tea leaves, and noodles. There is no single point for them to acquire all food. So apart from trading on a retail level, we can really create a brand. This should also boost tourism. Would you consider this suggestion? On top of what is mentioned in the budget about waiver of certificate fees, in last year's policy address, it talked about how we are to develop a food industrial park, and the paper does not touch much on this. Can you tell me if we already have an overall blueprint for development of the food industrial park? Will we have some sort of food outlet at the park, and will we have farm to sale arrangements there. We also need technical personnel for the food industrial park. Do you have any training and development plans for such personnel? For the unified brand for local agriculture and fisheries products, I have great expectations, and you will consolidate existing schemes for this purpose. I saw from previous years' figures, however, we have seen less products receiving recognition, both in agriculture, in accredited vegetables, as well as accredited fish. Is there something that we have to change to create a unified brand? Do we really need the vegetable marketing organization to give approval? Could that be a restriction? Secretary. I will ask the Deputy Secretary to answer the question on Food Industrial Park, and then we will have the Deputy Director answer the questions relating to accredited farms. We should also see how we can boost tourism. Once we have created the brand, we will work with the trades to see how we can promote the products and where we can sell such products, the retail points, as well as the packaging. We will see how we can promote this in due course. Thank you. I will now ask the Deputy Secretary to speak. Thank you. As the Secretary said earlier, we do not have an overall development blueprint just yet, but we have already been getting in touch with the trade. We will take an enterprise-led approach because they know best their needs. We see at a preliminary stage they have different uses. They have premises for testing purposes. They also have premises for distribution. But the specific details, it would depend on further discussions. Thank you. Deputy Director. Thank you. The chairman mentioned some data about accredited farms not having high figures. In fact, there is a declining trend. In fact, this is why we would like to take the opportunity of creating a unified brand to give recognition to local agricultural and fisheries products. We will promulgate some manufacturing or rearing standards to make sure the food safety standards are met. We will be stringent with our certification process. We also have a third party providing certification. That is the Hong Kong Quality Assurance Agency. After certification is given, there will be a marking for consumers to know the products have received recognition. As for whether we have to go through the vegetable marketing organization, we believe under the existing mechanism with the approval of the vegetable marketing organization, there is already some recognition. It is unlikely the goods during the packaging or transportation process would be changed out. But we do want to involve more intermediaries. We also can have direct access to farmers We do want to create more value for producers to create higher value for their products and increase sales. Thank you. That's it for the discussion of this agenda item. Let's move on to the next agenda item. The next agenda item is Food Surveillance Program 2025. I will now ask the relevant representatives of the administration to come inside the conference room.
咁呢個都係會有 PowerPoint 嘅。咁
We will also have a PowerPoint presentation for this item. I will only open the floor for questions after the Undersecretary has given a presentation. I will ask members to be brief with their comments. When the Undersecretary is ready, I will ask her to give a presentation. Undersecretary, when you're ready. Chair, the food surveillance program is an important part of the work of Center for Food Safety to ensure food safety. The CFS takes a risk-based approach in taking samples on different levels for testing. In 2025, they have taken 69,600 samples. The overall satisfactory rate was 99.9%, which was comparable to the figures in previous years. On the unsatisfactory samples, the center has already taken follow-up action, tracing the source of the samples, asking the relevant operators to unshelf the relevant goods and made relevant public announcements to tell the public about the relevant food safety risk. The CFS has also been paying close attention to the market and flexibly adjust the surveillance program and announce the findings of the tests to the public so that the public is aware of the latest risks in food safety. Members were particularly concerned about food ordered online, and this has been a priority for the CFS food surveillance programs in recent years, and the number of samples taken from 1,500 odd at the beginning per year to 9,300 in 2025. The overall satisfactory rate is 99.9%, which is comparable to food that was not purchased online. In 2026, the CFS will continue to enhance surveillance of food purchased online. Starting from October 2025, we have now directly been importing hairy crabs from the mainland. No matter the source, it has to comply with the local food safety requirements. Right now, the testing arrangements are that with the first batch of hairy crabs to be exported to Hong Kong from the mainland, samples will be taken for testing by the CFS. CFS also takes a risk-based approach in taking samples on a retail level for testing, and 119 samples were taken for testing, all of which were satisfactory. We have also held the national games for persons with disabilities and national Special Olympic Games. The CFS has measures to ensure food safety throughout the events, and for this purpose implemented a series of measures to enhance food surveillance and help seminars for the trade, and we have achieved zero food safety incident. I will now ask Dr. Yoni Lam to talk about the food surveillance program and measures to ensure food safety during the events. Thank you.
各位議員，大家好。
Thank you. Good afternoon. Now I will report to members our 2025 food surveillance program, and I will also brief members on our measures to ensure food safety throughout the events of the 15th National Games, the 12th NGD, and the 9th NSOG in the Hong Kong competition region. To ensure food safety, we implement the food surveillance program FSP to collect food samples at import, wholesale, and retail catering levels for testing on an ongoing basis. In 2025, we tested about 69,600 samples for regular, targeted, and seasonal surveillance. The testing results of all samples except for 69 were satisfactory. The overall satisfactory rate was 99.9%, comparable with that of 2024. The unsatisfactory samples mainly involved the detection of pesticide residues, metallic contaminants, preservatives, coloring matters, or veterinary drug residues, etc., in excess of regulatory limits in chemical tests, or the detection of satisfactory levels of hygiene indicators or pathogens in microbiological tests. Please refer to Annex 2 for details. Now I will talk about further details on our FSP. Now, online food sales. Members are particularly concerned about safety of food purchased online. With the growing prevalence of online food sales, the Center for Food Safety has been stepping up the surveillance of food purchased online, and we have progressively increased the number of food samples collected from 1,500 per year initially to 9,300 in 2025. In 2025, there are 7 samples collected that were unsatisfactory. The satisfactory rate is 99.9%. Of the said 9,300 samples of food purchased online tested, about 1,500 were purchased from online delivery platforms. Among them, the test results of all samples except for 3 were satisfactory. This represents a satisfactory rate of 99.8%. Overall, the satisfactory rates for food purchased online and through other channels are comparable. Now, I'd like to talk about the summer targeted food surveillance. We conduct targeted food surveillance on ready-to-eat food. For example, sushi, pre-cut fruits, salads, frozen confections, etc., for chemicals and microbiological tests every summer. In 2025, we tested about 2,270 food samples under the summer targeted food surveillance. 3 samples were unsatisfactory. The satisfactory rate is 99.9%. Meat is one of our major food source. We have been testing it regularly. In 2025, we tested over 7,900 samples of meat, poultry, and their products under the FSP. 8 samples did not pass the test. The rest passed. The satisfactory rate was 99.9%. Regarding surveillance of hairy crabs, the direct export of hairy crabs from mainland culture farms to Hong Kong resumed in October 2025. As the Undersecretary said, all hairy crabs need to comply with local food safety requirements regardless of their place of origins. Every imported consignment must be accompanied by a health certificate issued by the competent authority. Under the existing testing arrangement, the first consignment of hairy crabs exported from a culture farm to Hong Kong can be put on sale in the market subject to satisfactory of chemical tests by the CFS for metallic contaminants, veterinary drug residues, synthetic hormones, coloring matters, pesticide residues, and dioxins. We adopt a risk-based approach to collect samples from various batches of hairy crabs at retail level to ensure food safety. In 2025, we took a total of 119 hairy crab samples at import and retail levels. The test results of all samples were satisfactory. As for food imported from Japan, in response to Japan's discharge of nuclear contaminated water from the Fukushima nuclear power station, the SR government prohibited the import of aquatic products from 10 Japanese metropolis or prefectures all aquatic products, sea salt, and seaweed from these metropolis and prefectures, if harvested, manufactured, processed, or packed on or after 24th of August 2023, are prohibited from being imported into or supplied in Hong Kong. For other aquatic products not from those regions, we also still conduct radiological tests to ensure radiation level meet our guidelines. In 2025, on top of the FSB, we took about 85,000 samples of imported Japanese food products for radiation testing. No samples were tested with radiation levels exceeding the guideline level of the Codex Alimentarius Commission. On nutrition labeling. In 2025, we conducted 3 targeted food surveillance projects on the nutrition labeling of breakfast cereal, prepackaged sauce, and prepackaged canned soup or instant soup pack to check whether the energy and specified nutrient content were consistent with the declared values on their nutrition labels. A total of 120 samples were collected for conducting over 700 tests under the targeted food surveillance. Among them, 7 tests of nutrient contents were found to be inconsistent with the declared values on their labels, while the remaining samples were satisfactory. The satisfactory rate is overall 99%. Now, I'd like to report to members the food safety measures that we have adopted for the 15th National Game, the 12th NGD, and the 9th NSOG. All competition events of the 15th NG, 12th NGD, and the 9th NSOG in Hong Kong competition region was successfully concluded between the late October and December 2025. Attaching great importance to this mega event, the FHD implemented a series of measures to ensure food safety throughout the event period. Before the Games, we set up a steering committee on food safety comprising public health physicians, health inspectors, chemists, scientific officers, and personnel with expertise in the field of hazard analysis and critical control points to plan for and implement various measures which uphold food safety in a multidisciplinary manner. We also formulated the departmental food safety preparedness and response plan, establishing a departmental emergency coordinating center which operated throughout the entire event period. We also assessed and provide specific advice on the menus of designated hotels and food premises to mitigate the risk of food poisoning. We also held safety briefings and seminars for food handlers and managers involved in the catering and service for the Games. Now, I'd like to elaborate on the departmental emergency coordinating center. It is an information node of emergency events. It is responsible to come up with emergency response plan and conduct interdepartmental food safety response drill to make sure that whenever there is any food incident, the incident can be sent to the Center for Food Safety. We want to make sure that any incidents can be handled in the shortest period of time to lower the impact caused to spectators and athletes. On the 3rd of October 2025, we organized a interdepartmental food safety response drill to enhance our emergency response capabilities. There are colleagues from 13 different departments. In the drill, we practiced a response plan when we receive a food poisoning event notification. The Center for Food Safety responded immediately to ensure food safety. We have also worked with other mainland authorities to ensure the implementation of our notification mechanism. As I said, we offer advice on the menus of designated hotels and food premises involved in the Games. We offer briefings and seminars for food handlers and managers involved in the event. It covers food safety standards, good hygiene practice. Before the games, we organized 8 food safety briefings and seminars for more than 200 food handlers and managers. Starting from August, we visited 75 food premises for inspections. As athletes and their team will be dining at the restaurants near the game venues and hotels, we inspected not just the designated hotels and food delivery service caterers, we also inspected the food premises within the venues and nearby licensed food premises. When we did our inspection, we looked at this environment for food storage. We look at the hardware, say for example, the refrigerator. We want to make sure that the frozen food can be stored below 4 degrees Celsius. And for the hot food, it has to be stored above 60 degrees Celsius. We also ensured adherence to food safety standards and compliance with good hygiene practices by food premises. On enhancing food surveillance, we collected samples of various food groups for chemical and microbiological testing. We tested 760 samples covering bakery, eggs, meat, ready-to-eat food, seasonings, aquatic products, fruits, vegetables, poultry. We tested for metallic contaminants, veterinary residues, pathogens, and so on and so forth. All these samples passed our test. With the concerted efforts from all parties, at the same time, while we enjoy the food, we achieved zero food safety incident. Thank you. Thank you. Members who like to speak, please press the request to speak button. Mr. Xu Gafai. Thank you. When Dr. Lam briefed us on their efforts in the games, you did well, but your presentation was too lengthy. I think that you have to consider the time you take for your presentation. It was found that all the samples you tested were satisfactory. The restaurant industry told me that as their compliance costs reduced, they were able to get more business. I'd like to ask about the surveillance program. Starting from February, we had many food poisoning incidents involving oysters. I've talked to Dr. Wong, the controller. The oysters came from South Korea and Spain. Within a very short period of time, I understand that you inspected over 1,000 restaurants in Hong Kong selling oysters. Many of your colleagues canceled their days off. Once you identified the source, I know that you suspended import of oysters from those particular places. I'd like to know more about the current situation. Some restaurants selling oysters have met with me. They are grateful for the government being able to identify the source of import of those problematic oysters, but the confidence of people in oysters have been undermined, and that actually affected the entire industry. Can you talk about when you will cancel the suspension and how can we further boost people's confidence in oyster? Some oyster importer or reseller don't sell more than what they import. and that could give rise to food safety problems. How can we solve this problem? Thank you.
Undersecretary, let me give you more information. I will also ask Dr. Wong to talk about the latest situation. In February of this year, the CFS received 37 cases of food poisoning caused by consumption of fresh oysters. The CFS and relevant personnel immediately handled the relevant cases, conducted inspections to see what happened during the food handling procedure, and tracked the sources of the oysters. As the member said, it involved a Korean enterprise and a local supplier of food. We have also seen it involve a Spanish enterprise. The CFS directed the trade to immediately stop importing and selling in Hong Kong fresh oysters. And from 13th of February until now, we have not received any additional cases of food poisoning caused by consumption of fresh oysters. We will continue to actively follow up on this situation. We have inspected 1,200 restaurants selling or food business premises selling fresh oysters to ensure food safety and public health. In future, we will enhance testing for fresh oysters to instill confidence in the public in consuming fresh oysters. Dr. Wang. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Xu, for the questions. Mr. Xu met with us earlier. We also met with the oyster trade. We told the trade about our work, and the trade gave support to our work. In February, there was indeed a sharp increase in the number of cases. In February alone, we recorded 37 cases of food poisoning relating to consumption of fresh oyster. As the Undersecretary said, we quickly tracked the sources of oysters. When we were conducting our investigation, we found 3 suspected sources: a Korean supplier or processing plant. So we have halted imports from the company. We have also a Spanish processing plant. We also took follow-up action against this. We also discovered an individual supplier locally that may have something to do with food poisoning with the fresh oysters they supply. So we halted the supply of the specific supplier. Early February, we worked with the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department to conduct a large-scale inspection. We do not only review their source certificates, but also looked at how, for example, the oysters are stored. We thank the trade for their cooperation. They quickly provided us with necessary information. There are some of those in the trade, perhaps, as the member said, that we need to pay particular attention and care to, and we do note that. Fresh oysters are special in the sense that they are more risky, but we do understand many members of the public like to consume oysters, so we ask the public to really pay attention to the conditions of fresh oysters, and there is a need for a health certificate. I want to ask, is it the case we have not seen other cases since late February? Well, we have seen most of those who have consumed fresh oysters consuming the oysters on or before 6th of February, but it takes some time for the symptoms to manifest. So right now we have cases for those who consumed in February. Well, I think the trade is very concerned. I actually consume fresh oysters in between, and I'm fine. I hope we can allay the concerns of the public. Thank you, Ms. Christine Fong. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, FEHD representatives. I think it is very important to maintain food safety, and they did good work with the events for the national games. I was a volunteer of the national games and I ate the food and I'm fine. So I think they did good work. We need to really do good work in events, and that's how in future we can boost sports and tourism. So that's what I would like to praise about the work of the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department. Apart from conducting inspections, I think you can award restaurants with some recognition like a Q mark scheme so that these restaurants can be recognized and they can be patronized at events in future. With viruses, they do not only exist in shellfish, and we need to not only look at their sources, we also need to see how the food is handled. We have recently some housewives, when they purchase groceries, they do note there are potentially pesticide residues on vegetables. Has the department and CFS step up inspections? And what is the situation right now? On top of vegetables, I also want to ask about meat. In existing legislation, meat must be delivered to the interior of the premises, but then with pig carcasses, some wholesale markets may not have, or shops may not have enough space to store them. So we have observed time and time again, before pig carcasses were illegally placed on the roadside or outside shops in general, it has constituted a food safety risk. How can we stamp such out? Should we install more CCTV cameras, for example? I have also recently received feedback from citizens that there is illegal conducting of business of food. How can we step up enforcement? Thank you. Undersecretary, we thank the member for providing us with recognition of events. In future, we will continue to work with relevant departments on such work. We will convey your views to the relevant departments in due course. About pig carcasses being placed outside shops, we will talk about our follow-up work later. As for shellfish and vegetables inspections of such, I will ask Dr. Wong to answer that later. For pig carcasses that are improperly stored outside shops before shops open, we have recently done many random inspections to take enforcement action against the fresh provision shops. I will not provide the details here. Let me just give 2 examples. For the fresh provision shop in Yunlong, because they have breached the license conditions, they have placed pig carcasses outside their shops without supervision. We have canceled their licenses. There is another fresh provision shop in Kowloon City that has serious rodent and hygiene hazards. We have gone in accordance with relevant laws under public municipal health to suspend their license. We attach great importance to food safety, and we ask shops to comply with relevant requirements. I will now ask Dr. Wang to speak. Dr. Wang, thank you. Please be brief. Thank you. For shellfish and vegetables, actually for vegetables and aquatic products in general, we have taken samples. In 2025, we have obtained 8,900 samples on different levels. Compared to 2024, we obtained 8,000 samples. In 2023, 7,600 samples. We have taken an increasing number of samples because aquatic products are more risky. As for vegetables, we have also obtained samples on different levels. With vegetables, are you referring to scallions? Yes. I understand there was another paper that was tabled at the panel. Should I provide answers now? Oh, you can just provide simple answers now. I believe the paper has yet to be tabled, actually. Well, there was email communication talking about the color of scallions. In fact, for scallions, sometimes there is pesticide that is allowed in Hong Kong, mainland, the US, and Canada. There are specific standards. Why is it changing in color? It is because it has copperized. It does not harm. It is safe to consume, but people would have to wash the vegetables in advance. It does not only comply with local standards, let me emphasize this, it also complies with national standards. Thank you. Mr. Stephen Ho, I would like to thank the Center for conducting many tests every year to protect the health of the people, but I think there is room for improvement in the mechanism. We have more citizens purchasing food online, but we have limited resources in testing, especially with the government being in a tight fiscal position. We have many categories here, but I think the government knows certain categories are riskier than others. So, say for fresh oysters and scallions, we should focus on products of public concern to allay the concerns of the public so that it will not balloon into something bigger than necessary, such as having us receive relevant letters from the public. We can also do tests not only on the import level but also on the retail level. But let me take the oyster incidents as an example. We do not only have food safety incidents for the oysters from the 2 sources. So you may have done tests on the import level. for some reason, there will, in the end, be collective food safety incidents. So I want to ask if there is some issue with your inspection process. I think when something happens, you should take the samples on the retail level. So is your mechanism tying in with the consumption situation? Because after oysters are placed there for 6 to 8 hours, a lot of viruses may be bred. So I think you need to really reasonably adjust your mechanism to make sure the products are actually safe for consumption. Also, I want to say this. We had Japan being very irresponsible before depositing nuclear wastewater into the sea, and it will continue to deposit such wastewater into the sea. Will we see an increasing cost for testing? And I understand that before, when you test hairy crabs, it would cost $9,000 per sample, and that was the figure from 5 or 6 years ago, before the pandemic. Do we have all along such high testing fees, or is it the case with the prevalence of technology such as PCR testing, we will have lower testing costs? Will we have also more efficient means? Thank you.
Undersecretary, the member asked about use of resources. I will ask Dr. Wang, the controller, to elaborate. Take the vegetable testing as an example. The satisfactory rate was rather high, so the Center for Food Safety has reallocated resources to high-risk food, such as the ones you mentioned. We will continue to adopt a risk-based approach to better utilize our resources to test the food on the market. The member asked also about radiation testing of foods imported from Japan. We have implemented the prohibition of import of aquatic products from 10 metropolis and prefectures from 24th of August 2023. Through redeployment of resources and manpower, we have stepped up our testing capabilities of such aquatic products. The prohibition have been in place for quite some time. The operation has been quite smooth. Madam Chair, I have a follow-up question. I wasn't aware of the follow-up action on those food safety incidents. Was there any prosecution? Was there anyone held liable? What about the fresh oyster incident? Did you sue the importer? Did you sue the food premises? I will ask the controller to elaborate. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ho, for the comment and questions. We care about our resources because it's limited. We tend to target high-risk food. We have established a working group to look at the food that is becoming trendy that we have not tested on. As for our testing procedures, when we receive complaints and when we detect unsatisfactory sample, we will step up testing at the retail and import level. Regarding enforcement, when we identify unsatisfactory food sample, we reach out to the Department of Justice and look into prosecution. We have gone to enforcement agencies to follow up on the fresh oyster sample. Time is up, Mr. Ho. Next, Mr. Hong Kam-in. Thank you, Madam Chair. I thank the Center for Food Safety of the FVHD for their efforts. on food surveillance to ensure the repetition of our local products and ensuring the health of Hong Kong people. The CFS tested about 69,600 samples, 2,700 more than last year. Are you going to increase the number of samples tested every year? Will you adjust the samples you collect for testing every year? I'd like to ask a question on behalf of a member of public. Is there any food importing from war zones? And will you step up testing on those products? Dr. Wong, the controller, please. Thank you, Mr. Hong, for the question. In 2025, we tested about 69,000 samples. That's higher than average. Given our limited resources, we try to increase the number of samples we test. The reason for a higher number of samples tested in 2025 was because of the national games, and if we detect any major incident, we will also increase the number of samples tested. We do have new testing items. For milk formula, we will test for sterilite. We thank the government laboratory for developing this new test for us. In 2026, we are going to increase the number of tests we conduct. And we will test for sterilite in 2026 food surveillance program. For food importing from countries in war, we will test for the radiation. Are we importing food from war zones? Can you specify which country you're referring to? Because we are a free trade port, our food comes from many different places, but for fresh produce, they are mostly from the mainland. Mr. Chen Pokshi, thank you. It is said that in 2025, the CFS tested 119 hairy crab samples, and all of them were satisfactory. However, to further boost people's confidence in hairy crabs, can you explain to us the traceability mechanism you have? If we detect unsatisfactory samples from the mainland, how can we make sure that the problematic batch will be handled properly? Will there be any measures against the culture farm? Thank you. We thank the GACC for their assistance. Each batch of the hairy crabs imported from the mainland will be accompanied by a health certificate. For hairy crabs from other countries, they will also be accompanied by health certificate. Last year, we took a total of 119 samples. If we detect any problem, we will trace the source. We look at the health certificate accompanied with the imported consignment, and we will talk to the exporter. Thank you. Any follow-up question? None. Well, our meeting was supposed to end at 6:30 p.m. I'm the last to speak. We will conclude the meeting after the officials have given their answer. I'm concerned about food purchased online. In 2025, you tested about 9,300 samples. The satisfactory rate of food purchased online is more or less similar with that purchased from other channels. Have you purchased food from other places online? We've come across cases where people purchase food from other places. They purchase sashimi, oysters, fruits, watermelons. So I wonder if the administration have intercepted any food illegally purchased from other places. Watermelon fruits may not be high-risk food on its own, but if it's purchased from other places without certification, then there could be risk. You identified the source of the problematic batch of oysters, which are Spain and South Korea. However, locally, we have some high-risk food as well. At Cyclone Pier, uni was being sold illegally. You said that you conduct regular patrol. However, very recently, we just passed by Cyclone Pier and we saw fresh uni being sold and sea urchins being purchased by tourists. Would you step up enforcement, because that does not only affect local people but also tourists? We see people promoting the sale of sea urchins in Saigon. That shouldn't have happened. Undersecretary, the controller will supplement after I give my answer. You talked about fishermen selling sea urchins in Saigon district. According to Cat 132X, the sale of aquatic or fisheries products need to be licensed with a fresh provision shop, or they have to obtain a permit to sell restricted food, and they need to obtain permission from the FHD. If they don't have such a permit, then they are illegal when they sell these products. The CFS has been monitoring the relevant location, and we have conducted joint departmental operation to combat these irregularities. For fishing boats selling fresh fish illegally, we have also taken enforcement action against them. As for the location you mentioned, we will step up our monitoring and enforcement. If you have any more information that can assist in our law enforcement efforts, please let us know. Dr. Wong. We don't have any figures on food purchased online from other places. The CNED has established a communication mechanism with cross-boundary e-commerce platform. Under the mechanism, we have explained to e-commerce channels of other places our regulatory requirements, and if we identify any irregularities, we talk to the platform, and the platform will follow up on it with the relevant shop. I think that this is a good start. Cross-boundary online shopping involves many different areas. The government has been in close liaison with e-commerce platform, but members of the public also have a role to play. When we purchase items online from other places, we have to be mindful of several things. There are certain food items such as meat, eggs, and chickens that are regulated stringently by the laws. We have been stepping up enforcement at the boundary control points. We also, at the same time, have to educate the public. That's why the CFS has been rolling out promotional campaigns together with other departments. Well, there is a cross-boundary purchase of food. Please look into it. Now on to the next item. Any other business? There being no other business, meeting adjourned. Thank you.